Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scott McKay.
All right, gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. My name is Scott McKay, and as always, I'm your host at Scott McKay on YouTube, on Twitter, on Truth Social, on TikTok, and at Real Scott McKay on Instagram. The website, also, as always, is mountaintoppodcast.com, and I say this every time, and I will say it again. If you're not part of our thriving group of men at the Mountaintop Summit on Facebook, go ahead and join up. Give it a shot. Give it a chance. Roll the dice. We're a good group of guys. I think you'll like what you see. I think you'll like being a part of that community, and we will look forward to meeting you there. With me today is a returning guest. Her name, of course, is Cyndi Olin. And although I think this is like her second or third time on this particular podcast, I feel like she and I have probably done about, 4 or 5 dozen episodes. And that's actually not far off from the truth, because here's the deal. Some of you guys who were on the app Clubhouse, remember that? Man, they kind of fell off the map, which we're going to talk about. Remember that Cyndi and I were kind of early adopters there, and we did a Clubhouse room together. We co-hosted it every week, calling it alternatively Dogs and Cats Living Together, or Cats and Dogs Living Together, kind of a battle of the sexes kind of play on words there. And Cyndi and I really enjoyed doing that. The guys who showed up, those of you guys who showed up, we had great conversations. And then one day, literally, it just seemed like it happened overnight from week to week. People just stopped using Clubhouse. So I missed collaborating with Cyndi. Now, see, Cyndi usually works with women, but I miss collaborating with her. And she was gracious enough to come back and be on the show. And I kind of thought it would be a good idea to pick up where we left off in terms of dogs and cats living together, and talk about, well, not only male-female relationships in general, but the future of them, where they're going, where men and women relating to each other is headed. So without anything further, from Tucson, Arizona, which is actually, in my estimation, one of the most underrated metros in the country. I just love Tucson. Cyndi Olin, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott. I always love talking to you. You're full of such great information. Love being a part of your podcast too.
Well, likewise. Yeah, you and I agree on a whole lot of things. You work mostly with women. I work mostly with men. Yeah, that's right. And that's not to say we won't have something special for the guys at the end of the show, which we will. But I really think it's a lot of fun to do shows with you, to create content with you, as it were, because unlike Emily, who of course is my wife, who I love and adore, you and I don't live in the same house. We don't complete each other's sentences. We're not soulmates. You have one of your own. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
But because we think alike, we tend to come together and create this really killer gonzo new content that comes out of nowhere from a completely different place. And it's always just been so much fun. So I think with that, I'd love to just have you take it away, Cyndi, and kind of riff away first person on where you think male-female relationships are going. Because these guys hear from me first all the time around here, and a lot of times the guests come on and they have something completely new to offer that we've never talked about before. But I think I would much rather have you drop a few golden nuggets on the table to get us rolling here. So let's have it. Go for it.
For sure. Yes. Romance, dating, where's it headed? And I feel like, especially with the time of the year and, everything, after the first of the year, people tend to, take stock of their personal life, if they're single, what they want. And we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record. And I feel like it's the desire, especially for women, is the return of old school. The man, the woman dropping the proverbial handkerchief, and the man coming to her and asking her out on a date, and her getting all giddy and excited and dressed up and the whole thing, and really allowing real, true courtship to unfold rather than, 0 to 100 or sexting online, I really feel like there's this desire for slowdown and intimacy and people truly getting to know one another too.
Well, I agree with everything you just said, and we've seen that borne out time and again. Wait for it. In my coaching calls with men. It isn't just like a pipe dream that women are supposing, and it's like, yeah, right, lady, good luck getting guys to fall in line with that. The men are asking for this. Now, when you said drop the hanky, I'm thinking, okay, the new school, old school would be dropping like a Clorox baby wipe.
Right.
Yeah.
Clorox baby wipe. Oh my gosh. Whatever. I mean,
that poor kid's rear end. Clorox? Where am I going? It's not made by Clorox. Clorox wipes are for like your kitchen, right?
Right.
Yeah,
but
okay.
maybe more like your lipstick tube or something. Dropping
Your moisturizer. Men dropping their tube of moisturizer for women to pick up. It's a turn of events. No, but you know what? We've seen the same thing. I mean, we had an episode not too long ago where we talked about the state of online dating, and as bullish as my co-host was on online dating, and, he kind of won me over a little bit to being kind of back to being bullish myself. I mean, why shouldn't I be? My wife and I met on online dating. I know the potential that's there, but I also know how difficult and fraught it's become for guys. And meanwhile, here we are post-COVID. Yes, post-COVID for sure at this point. And people are just starving for real social outlets. And women are starving for a real man to come sweep them off their feet. And I'm going to go all the way back to about 4 or 5 minutes ago, Cyndi. I mean, wow. If it wasn't the very first word you said when kicking this whole thing off, it was in the first phrase. You said romance.
Romance. Romance is not dead. Women are craving it. And I know men are too, just like you said. It's that feeling of that slowness, the savoring.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like that has been a piece that has been skipped somewhat with culture, a lot of online dating culture. And a lot of times, things are falling dead online. You'll see, like, I look at my clients' online dating, communication, and I'll see where communication ends and whatnot, but people aren't moving things. And it's because it's harder online to create that same amount of tension, that men and women feel that, they can do in person. And there's this craving for women to be asked out and men to show up in that way that she can surrender in his arms. And I love it.
There's a dangerous phrase in and of itself, women surrendering. Go figure.
Yeah. And I feel like this goes across the board. I mean, I work with smart, highly successful women that are desiring this feeling. They want to feel like a man, they don't necessarily need a man to provide for them, but they want to feel protected and provided for. And go ahead.
Well, man, where do I even start with that one? I know exactly where to start with that one. Let's go back to romance again. And I have to throw this on the table. I think romance is a term that most men can't define nowadays. And if they make an attempt to define it, they go, well, that's sissy stuff. That's the stuff that's going to turn me into Mr. Nice Guy or some sort of simp, and women are going to put me in the just be friend zone for trying to be romantic. And I think that's symptomatic. Ha. There you go. I made a sniglet. Rich Hall would be proud.
No pun intended. Yes.
Nobody knows who he even was anymore. He was the father of smashing words together and making what he called sniglets, like the aforementioned.
I love that. I didn't even, learn something new every day. Okay.
Well, now you can be sympathetic towards it. So anyway, guys think, okay, well, this is a trick. This is the pussification of men so that we're going to be romance. This is sissy stuff. This is girly stuff. This is pansy ass stuff that turns me into, her little dancing monkey. Well, hold on a second. If women are saying they want romance, do we have so low a view of women that we're not ever going to take literally all of them at face value? I mean, after all, we've talked about it on this show before. Cyndi, women want a man who listens. That doesn't mean they want a man who obeys. That means they want a man to at least take some notes about what women's loves, hopes, fears, and dreams are so that they can make decisions and lead accordingly so the women can follow. I mean, that's not going to make you a simp. That's going to make you a genius. That's going to make you attractive. Okay. That's how masculinity and femininity work. So when women talk about romance, obviously they can't be talking about men turning into pussies. They can't be. What they mean is they want a man who knows how to create an environment where she feels safe to be a woman, and then they can act like men and women together. They can do the things together that only men and women who are dancing the dance of attraction do. I'm not going to go have a candlelit bubble bath with someone other than a woman I'm attracted to. Period. End of story.
That's right.
It's a comical mental image otherwise. It's not even a mental image I want to partake of. So that's what women mean when they're talking about romance. So along come these guys and they're like, all right, well, I just researched romance. Maybe I'll try to do this romance thing. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice League, everybody is online. Everybody wants immediate gratification, and everything has to go from 0 to 60 in, 3.4 seconds, or I'm ghosting you and finding someone who will keep my attention longer. Lower attention spans than ever, lower morality than ever. When was the last time you heard the phrase hookup culture, Cyndi? I mean, we're like in the post hookup culture at this point. I mean, it's like even beyond that. It's like, hey, just make some porn and send it to me. I mean, women with OnlyFans accounts so that they can vet men. Hey, pay me $10. Go check out my OnlyFans. And if you still want some after you see me naked, then we'll talk about going out on a date or something. I mean, it's crazy town.
Crazy. It's crazy.
There's guys out there going, no. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, I mean, then you have the guys who even try getting shot down by the women who said they wanted romance, who are now confused in their own right. Yes, I said confused. We all are.
Mm-hmm.
And if we would only stop, relax, smell the roses, we might figure out the next time we tap the brakes with someone we find interesting and actually went out with them, had the first time holding hands, had the first time kissing, had the first time simmering each other up with little flirty words we say to each other, we would go, wow, this is freaking great. Who knew? Well, that's old school. I mean, you don't have to wait 90 days to have first sex or wait until you're married or else we're going to shun you from, the community or anything like that. I mean, we're not going to go back to puritanical times. I mean, maybe we should.
Well, I actually think we should to some degree.
Well, talk to me. Have at it.
Yeah. Something I really impart with my women is taking your time in that area. Like, wait 90 days to go there. And it may even be longer because I want them to make sure they feel safe on all levels before going there. And they're in a committed relationship. Now, commitment can show up before that, but it's rare that people are waiting past the 5th date to go there.
And people disappear if it takes 5 days.
Yeah, and you don't know somebody. And in 90 days, the mask starts to come off a bit, even before that, if you're dating and seeing them regularly. So I love the 90 days. I'm all for that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not one to assign a specific number, like wait 3 days after you get her number to call her, or wait 90 days before you have sex, or wait a year before you get engaged. I think everybody's an individual, and it depends on how often you're seeing each other, how close the connection is, where you're coming from in terms of those things. But I definitely think there's a lot to be said for savoring every bit of a relationship and not rushing anything. And here's the analogy I'm going to put forth. I believe I've mentioned it on this show before, but it's been several years. And we've gained a lot of new listeners since then. Several years ago, we went to a wolf rescue place, and it became feeding time. And I said to the person who was like, the zookeeper / handler, I think I just learned firsthand where the phrase wolfing it down came from. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we'll throw them like 5 pounds of sirloin steak and it's gone in 8 seconds. I said, yeah, thank goodness we as humans are a little bit more evolved. And the guy laughed, and I elaborated by saying, yeah, when we go out and get a nice steak, we don't just wolf it down. We want to savor every bite and have some of the cream spinach and some mushrooms and a glass of wine. He goes, oh man, you betcha. These wolves don't know what they're missing out on. And we both laughed. And I just think our culture has gotten to the point where we wolf down sex.
Yeah, well, there's a phrase that I've used. It's like, oh, were they raised by wolves? What
Same
happened?
Analogy, right?
Same thing, same analogy. It's like, whatever happened to moving slower?
I've never seen wolves have sex, but I can only imagine. I have seen ostriches having sex. That was a sight.
I can't even imagine.
It was very feathery. Yeah.
but
you like how I completely threw you off track there.
Yes,
it's like back in the good old days of Clubhouse, right?
It is. It's so true.
This is how this used to go.
It did. You'd throw in a little zinger, and here we go. We're off to the races.
Right, exactly.
But
the good news with Clubhouse, though, is unlike this audience, they get to talk back at you in real time, and add to the fun. So, you're onto something here. It sounds so painful to people to maybe slow down, maybe not wolf down human sexuality, male-female sexuality. And I would love to talk for the next few minutes, Cyndi, about how we got here and why that's okay with people. Because it isn't okay when it comes to our Escoffier dinner or going to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, although I prefer Morton's. Right. It isn't okay, when we go to the movies or go to the show or, we don't want to go to a sports game and just, all right, let's just play the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and go home. Nobody's like that. And then we get to the point where we're supposed to be developing relationships with another human being who we're allegedly attracted to, and we wolf it down. What's happened there? Where have we cheapened this to that point?
Well, it's the evolvement of everything online, as you know. What do most people do when they wake up in the morning?
Look at porn.
They either look at porn, they look at porn. They might do that. Men might do that. Some women might do it too. But they open up their Instagram, their Facebook. They're checking. They're looking at social channels.
Same thing. Same difference.
Yeah, and they're getting fed all this information, and we've also been programmed to believe that we should be able to get it now.
Of course.
And all of a sudden, if you order something on Amazon, now you can't get it the same day. It's very rare. It used to be, you can't remember that? I used to get it the same day. It was so great.
Oh, we could still do that here. They've ramped that up here. Yeah.
Not here. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But there are other ways that you can get it. You can Instacart something today. You need that. And God forbid you get in the car to drive up the street to get it.
Yeah, well, that's another whole side of that discussion. I see where you're going with this, but this is the whole, you don't even have to leave your house anymore. Why be social?
Right.
I had this weird twisted theory that during COVID, most people actually liked this lockdown stuff. They'd been hoping for this their whole life. And now, with so few people actually going out there and being social, relatively speaking, that premise has unfortunately kind of been proven to be true. You just DoorDash our way through life now.
Exactly. I mean, we can have, we can have the steak from any restaurant. We can just have it in our own dining room.
And why go to the movie theater? You have one in your living room. I mean, QLED television, $600 for the 70-inch one here in San Antonio at Sam's. I mean,
right.
Really? I mean, you got to crane your neck to see that thing. And it's like in crystal clear, the picture's crystal clear. And unlike the movie theater, you don't have to like miss 10 minutes of the movie and plow over 3 fat guys to go get some popcorn. You just hit pause.
There's that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't even have to wear pants. I mean, it's amazing.
You can watch the 3.5 hour Avatar movie in your living room.
And half of it today and half of it tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right. Now let's talk specifically about men and women.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it there. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things going on. I feel like the women are craving, like what we were talking about before, for a man to lead, for him to ask her out, for him to actually come to her. And they're trying to do this online, and people are point blank choosing the lazy route. Well, I'm in this part of town, you're in this part of town. This isn't going to work. We're 10 miles away from each other.
Well, I'm even more cynical than that. Sorry, but not sorry. It's gotten to the point where guys have been softened up. And, another whole episode we have coming up is how men have been socialized to be Mr. Nice Guy without any explanation and keeping him in the dark about what that even means. Okay, that's where it gets really scary and complicated. So first of all, guys are too soft to ask women out, especially in real life.
Yeah, and then women hate that.
Of course they do.
It's driving them nuts. And
but men have cognitive dissonance regarding that. En masse.
So, and women are just getting, honestly, Scott, they're getting angrier and angrier.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And part of it, I coach them to help open up the men to say, it's okay to come to me and ask me on a date.
Go figure.
And I would love that. And their energy is open and welcoming. And then all of a sudden the men do start showing up, because it's so rare that a woman is this open and welcoming and communicative that, yes, this is what she wants. And she's setting him up to win.
Well, Cyndi, I completely understand why women would be frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, men going their own way, and the red pill guys get so angry at me when I take the woman's side on things. It's like I'm some kind of hypocrite or a traitor or something. Look, I am all about men and women being in partnership. And look, guys, if you've been socialized to stop being masculine in the way women define it, and you're not asking them out, what do you want them to do? Not be frustrated? Of course they're frustrated, and they're wearing it on their sleeves because they want you to stop, look, and listen. Ask me out. Do I have to throw myself at you? The answer is going to be, well, no, because when women throw themselves at a guy, the guy goes, oh, well, she just must be a cheap, stupid slut who makes bad decisions. And women go, and they get even more frustrated. So you have this situation where people, I don't know, are left to their own devices, Cyndi, to kind of figure out how the entire other gender is. And it's usually driven by people who are loud, angry complainers. And then guys go, well, women aren't worth it. And then women look around and go, well, these guys aren't worth it.
Yeah. Or they think, they create a story in their head and they go, none of these men want commitment. They don't want me, or they don't want commitment. And that's why they're not showing up.
Look, let me throw it on the table with a mic drop.
Do it, Scott.
Neither men nor women, nobody knows what they want. Period.
And that's part of the problem.
They don't even know who they are. They don't even have an identity. They haven't figured out what their core belief system is. And you want them to figure out the kind of woman they want? It ain't going to happen. Not in this culture.
Well, that can be enhanced more through dating, but that would mean people would need to leave their homes, go out, meet each other, stay open to what they like about that person and get curious about them. and allow it to grow.
And notice that it's fun and enjoyable.
Right. And have fun with it and receive.
Now, the elephant in the room here is the porn, Cyndi.
Let's talk about porn.
Broadband porn, free. Listen, here's the best way I know to really talk about how poignant this issue is. Okay. I don't have the same complaints against porn that some other militant people do. I understand how damaging it can be. I also understand that it's not so damaging for other people to consume it. But here's the thing, okay? And this was years ago. The first time a guy came to me and I said to him, okay, what seems to be the problem? And he says, well, I'm attracting women and these are women I really like. I go, well, so far so good. He goes, but no, because 3 weeks or a month into the relationship, I'm done. I'm just sick of them. I'm ready to break up. I said, wow, that's really fascinating. I said, I got an exercise for you. And he said, what's that? I said, well, what are your views on porn? Are you going to, there's two kinds of guys. There's guys who watch it and guys who lie and say they don't. There's like 1% are in the ace community. We acknowledge this, folks, of course. But he goes, well, I said, this is a safe space. He goes, yeah, I watch porn. All right. So here's what I want you to do. And remember, this was like 10, 12 years ago. I want you to go to one of those sites where they show you like a whole page full of thumbnails of cute girls. And then when you click on one, they show you all the photos and all the movies that little gal has ever done. He goes, okay, I think I can handle that. And I go, okay, now here's the exercise. I want you to measure in minutes and seconds. Okay, ready? You know where this is going. I want you to measure in minutes and seconds how much of her you allow yourself to tolerate before you've just got to go get some strange. You need a different one. You've seen enough of her. It's time for another. He goes, I'm not even sure I need to do this exercise. I think I'm already crystal clear. I go, well, do the exercise anyway. He came back and he said, I really, really, really tried. I found the women who really do it for me, that are really my type. It was under 7 minutes every time. I said, okay, now when you put that in context, wow, 3 weeks to a month with one woman, that's amazing by comparison. He goes, well, it isn't so amazing or I wouldn't have hired you. I said, all right, so what do we have going on here? What it all came down to, and I don't like it's not your fault marketing, but I understand the onslaught of influence, okay, in this direction. He had gotten to the point where he had such little interaction with real women and had been poisoned to think that all women are terrible and gold diggers and solipsistic and blah, 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 that they were only good for sex. So
wow,
the 2 week, 3 week relationship, the 1 month relationship is a quest to get sex started. And then when he knows his way around her body 3 or 4 or 5 times, there's nothing left. There's no reason to stick around. So unwiring that sex focus and helping him rediscover how wonderful women can be to have in your life for reasons other than sex, put him on the fast track to getting over it. And I mean, I don't want to dox him because he didn't really allow me to, but he ended up becoming a bit of a relationship coach himself and publishing books on his own journey. So it was transformative for him. But I think that sort of thing goes on nowadays. Women are only good for sex, and on top of that, they don't even like sex, so I might as well just give up and watch porn because we tell ourselves all these fables, and I know women do the same thing. We got to unwire that. We got to start giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt and giving women the benefit of the doubt. Then we can go explore the real world again, right?
Yes. I mean, I was basically saying that in a different way without the porn. It's look at the best in that person and get to explore who they are. And some people, they're just not going to work for you, right?
Which is fine.
Which is all good. I mean, this is part of the fun and the journey of dating and getting to know one another and building that true soulmate connection. I mean, so many people, when they start to run into problems or they feel disconnected in some capacity, whether it be in their relationship or marriage, what happens? They might, I've heard so many stories, and I know you have too. We've been around the block a few times. It's like, oh, but it's easier to go go start up another relationship because that's more exciting, and the dopamine and the oxytocin that's being exuded, and this is going to be better. And we kid ourselves into believing that rather than slowing down and savoring and getting to explore one another too, and stop building up all these walls and resentment and stories that men are bad or women are bad or this person's bad because of XYZ.
Which, once we get out in the real world and stop door dashing our way through life, we realize not everybody's as bad as the angry people made them all out to be. Now, if we have a pattern of attracting the wrong people in our lives, that's another whole podcast episode. And Cyndi and I are both at your service, gentlemen. But I think that is a different story. What I love about what you're saying is this message of empowering the guys who are listening to get out of that comfort familiarity zone that isn't even really serving us all that well, that really feels empty, that's driving us back to porn, that's keeping us from real women, and get back out there, take a chance. And so many guys won't. And gentlemen, once you start unraveling that bird's nest of how we got socialized to be Mr. Nice Guy, you'll get upset about it. You'll get angry enough to want to go out there and take a risk in the best way possible. And Cyndi, back me up on this. I know you will. I'm not going out on a limb here.
Women respond positively.
They do. You didn't even need me to complete the phrase or the thought.
Yes. They love it. I mean, they are begging for it.
They'll be friendly, even if they're taken, unavailable, not even you're not their type. None of that will matter because at least if you're being respectful. What I tell guys all the time, Cyndi, and you've heard me say this on Clubhouse, You're not creepy, weird, or pushy unless you're creepy, weird, or pushy. If you give her some space, act like a normal human being. You don't even have to be quote unquote impressive, just present.
Right.
Just show up. And you're right. I mean, you took off with that notion because it's obvious to you and me, but gentlemen, just go out there and talk to people in general at first. They're going to look at you like you have 3 heads for the first 2 seconds. Maybe. Yeah. Because they're in shock.
Right. And I promise you, if you are online, if you are on an online dating platform and you see a woman that seems interesting to you, somewhat attractive, get it offline as quickly as you can and ask her out on a date. She will likely say yes.
Amen. Amen.
She will likely say yes. You're welcome, guys.
And don't write something wimpy and don't write something douchey. Just write something that proves you're a normal person. Hey, I saw that you have a picture of this. I mean, I'm advocating not even trying to be cutesy anymore because you have so little competition at being human. And let's just go back to the very beginning. Let's bring it full circle, Cyndi. People are starving for humanity. That's what people are starving for. Is there someone to show up and be human with them?
It could even be, what's your favorite restaurant in the city? You can
whatever.
Whatever.
You have no competition if you keep it that simple. Guys are out there shaking their darn heads going, there's not a chance. Oh, there is a chance. Give it a shot.
There's a big chance. Women are begging for it. And I mean, I coach my women around getting the men offline, and there are some that just aren't going to do that.
Men won't get offline. Yes.
Yeah, men won't.
Correct.
Men won't get offline. And I have this whole theory, and I joke around about it. It's like, oh yeah, those are the guys that are sitting in their basements at their mom's house,
afraid they'll disappoint you.
Afraid that they're still there.
Mr. Nice Guy fearing loss before they even have her.
Right. And I feel like that is part of the phobia. And then women have the opposite phobia, that they think the guy just isn't going to show up for them because he doesn't really want commitment on some level. So you've got these both polar sides fighting each other.
All driven by a false narrative. It's a zombie apocalypse, I tell you.
It really is. So literally ask her a simple question, or even just say, hey, I'd really like to get to know you. can we grab a coffee or take a walk or lunch?
And I mean, that's not perfect. I would tweak the heck out of those phrases, but it would be enough right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I might too, but I am saying keep it simple because women will respond.
Now, I'm going to issue a caveat. Guys, if you do this stuff and come back with torches and pitchforks saying, yeah, just be myself. Great advice, you two. Look, there's something creepy going on. There's something you have a blind spot about. We'll fix it for you. We'll shake it out. The books, the videos will never help you, but we can. We can shake that out for you, and it won't break your bank. We can do that for you pretty quickly. I can usually take one Zoom call with a guy, and listen, you guys, I'm the biggest dork in the world, okay? I have no shame. The best part about me being a dating coach was how far I've come. Okay, so I have respect for all of you. Don't even give that a second thought. I'm still a huge dork. Emily and I are soulmates because we're both huge dorks. I mean, we just adore each other.
I get it.
But yes, the bottom line here, you get it. Crystal clear. We understand, McKay. You're a big dork. But
I
you're not off the hook either.
With you, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the bottom line here, though, guys, the point where I don't want to say desperately because it makes us look like, simps, but we're vehemently driving home the point that you have less competition at being a normal human being than ever. So, I mean, what do you have to lose by not even being all that creative? Get yourself some built-in confidence, then work on the cute creative stuff. I can help you with that too. I could turn you into a genius, but I'm telling you, to get you off a top dead center and get this thing cranking, start with hello and notice something from her profile and actually spell it correctly. Mix in a thesaurus, and you're off to the races. It's not going to be difficult. And Cyndi, It all brings it back full circle. New school is old school. We're going to go back to basics because the world is starving for, what it is we're actually wired to be, not this ersatz fake electronic version. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. And getting yourself out there, doing some things that you find interesting.
Not in your living room with a remote control in your hand.
Right.
Oh,
people.
Man.
And I feel like the people that want to connect are attempting to do that. And if you're listening to this, you're clearly somebody that's growth oriented and want a great partnership, want to get to that next level, then get out there, connect, say hello to women, smile at them. They will light up. I have little exercises I give my women sometimes, and they'll go, oh my gosh, I have literally been approached by 5 men just by doing this. Yeah, because they felt permission to do that.
They felt welcomed.
Yeah, they felt welcomed.
It's not throwing themselves at the guys. It's simply welcoming them.
No, and it's simple. It's simple, guys. I'll tell you my simple, not so secret that I will give to some of my women as a little exercise. Smile. Look in a man's eyes for 3 Mississippis, Scott. 3 Mississippis, because that can be long, right?
It sounds long. Yes.
Smile the whole time. And literally
especially if you stutter.
Yeah. And men will approach you, and even if they're taken, they will say hello, they will smile, they might compliment you.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Even if it turns into nothing other than that. That's a confidence builder. It creates
connection. And that's the thing that we've been missing for so long. And, so more people than ever work from home. So they don't even have to leave their house, right?
My Lord.
So, that's another issue.
That's another whole podcast for another whole time. What's funny? I actually have that episode in the works. The whole idea of being a man in a remote world is coming with a great guest, one of our favorites, but I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag just yet, but, that's coming up. That's prescient of you to think of that because That's something that's on people's minds. I have to say this before I send them to your website, because you already half sent them there anyway. You've already piqued their interest enough to go there. I have more men than ever before coming to me saying they don't understand the concept of connection. Can you explain it to me? That's part of my job nowadays. These are grown-ass men with social skill. But that's how far we are removed from this old school stuff that needs to be the new school. Her name is Cyndi Olin. She's from Tucson, Arizona. Hey, you guys know how much I respect her dating coaching abilities. She's the real deal. You already know she loves us as men too, and we love her back. So I want to send you to Cyndi Olin's website, which is createyourOwnLuckandLove.com. But what I'm going to do is, per always, is send you to mountaintoppodcast.com/create, CREATE. And, if you want to be a fly on the wall and check into what Cyndi's telling the women to do, go for it. You might want to hire Cyndi for an hour or two to pick her brain and get a woman's opinion on things. And also, here's a cool pro tip. If you have a woman in your life who is feeling a little out of sorts and she maybe mentioned something aloud about maybe needing a coach, send her Cyndi's way, and you will not go wrong. She'll thank you for it. So, Cyndi, as always, man, this is like old times. I feel like we picked up right where we left off from Clubhouse. What a pleasure.
I did too.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
It was so fun to be here. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you do for the men, and women are thanking you as well. And it's always fun to
crowds cheering for both of us.
Crowds
back
cheering for us. I know. There's so many more directions we could go moving forward too. But
well, the only solution there is to have you back.
Yeah. Same.
Yes.
Right.
Very, very good. What a great show. This is a lot of fun. And guys, there's even more fun waiting for you at mountaintoppodcast.com, Hero Soap, Keyport.com, Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, all sponsor this show and have been for almost 3 years now. So there's good relationships built there. And I'll tell you what's driving that. Not only do those guys love you as an audience and want to be in front of you because you're the right guys for them to talk to, but I love all of their products. I do not align myself or this podcast with anybody who I don't believe in personally and whose products I don't believe in personally. So anytime you partake of the goods from any of those three sponsors, which are, once again, Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, Hero Soap, and or Keyport, you'll know you're working with the good folks, and you'll know you're getting the good stuff. Use Mountain 10 as a coupon code anytime you partake of those products, please. When you go to mountaintoppodcast.com, I haven't talked about my newest program, Unsettled, lately. Unsettled is a program about, making your new school something completely different than sitting around the house watching everybody else have fun on TV. Okay? That's what's causing me to bring it up right now. Guys, if you want to disrupt your life in the best way possible, and I know that sounds mildly terrifying, it will be the best thing that ever happened to you. Check out Unsettled using the link at mountaintoppodcast.com. And guys, absolutely, the invitation is open for you to talk to me about where you are with the women in your life right now, where you want to be. If you indeed want to talk to me over Zoom and see if there are any blind spots that could help revolutionize your success with women that you may never have figured out on your own, sometimes that 25-minute introductory call, which won't cost you a dime, is all it takes to do that. Get on my schedule. You can do so at mountaintoppodcast.com. Sign up at a time that's right for you. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.